everyone. Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. It's so lovely to see the many people that have come in today to help make this event so eventful, I would say. My name is Dr. Emanuela Onyie Okariafo, part of the lead organizers for this event, and myself as the co-chair for the Race Equality Network here at Bournemouth University. And I have with me here
Dr. Laura Iannuzzi, and co-chair again with the Race about the Race Equality Network for staff. Yeah. And
Brilliant.
Welcome you all.
Yeah, we want to welcome you all and just give you a snapshot of what you would have today in today's event and showcase. First of all, thank you all for all of you that have already gone into the exhibition to see the brilliant work of our students, staff, and also external partners. These are the kind of things that we want to do for Black History Month to help in terms of celebration and also just a welcome feeling, if anything. Also, we're going to have the keynote speakers in a minute, and then after that, we'll go in for the workshop from also brilliant contributors before we then have the final panel discussion session to break down all of the norms, Black identity, equality in practice, and all of the other key aspects that we've tried to curate for this particular event. Yes. Let's not waste any time and introduce our keynote speakers today. I have in person Professor Alison Horner, who is our Vice Chancellor and CEO of the Bournemouth University. And also in person, I have Professor Christos, who are going to actually do their right introduction and also give us the perfect keynote speech that we need to help celebrate this particular event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Emanuela. So good afternoon, everybody. It's a real pleasure and a real privilege, actually, to welcome you to Bournemouth University's Black History Month Summit 2025. And I hope your morning has been filled with vibrant conversations, powerful reflections, and meaningful connections. And I'm really honoured to be here today. Here's my last name, but I'm absolutely honoured to be with you here today, and to have the opportunity to open such an important event. And my colleagues here and students will know that it's something that I have supported for many years throughout what has been almost a 40-year career in higher education. But I'd really like to start by thanking Dr. Emanuela and all the colleagues from the Race Equality Network, the EDI charter team, alumni and media staff, and our amazing SU here at BU, so SUBU, for all their incredible work in bringing this day together, because it is a huge amount of energy and work to do this. And of course, to thank each one and every one of you for being here and engaging in these vital conversations and discussions. But let's just have a little bit of celebration, because this is Black History Month. Let's have a little bit of a celebration. So Black History Month is a cornerstone of the calendar here at BU. And it's time to celebrate, which we've just started doing, to reflect, and most importantly, to learn. And this year's theme, resilience, representation, and reform, shaping the future together, I think speaks directly to the heart of what we strive for as a university community here at Bournemouth University. So resilience. That, I think, reminds us of the strength and perseverance shown by our Black communities throughout history and today. It's a call to honour that strength and to build spaces where resilience is not just required, but recognised and supported. Resilience is a thread that runs through the entire tapestry of Black history. It is the ability to rise, to endure, to transform adversity into strength. And we do that collectively. We see this in the story of Harriet Tubman, who escaped slavery, risked her life repeatedly to lead others to freedom. Her courage and determination are a testament to the power of resilience. Tubman once said, "Every great dream begins with a dreamer." Her dream was freedom, and she made it a reality for hundreds. We see resilience in the Montgomery bus boycott, where Rosa Parks' quiet defiance sparked a movement that lasted over a year and changed the course of civil rights history. And we see it in the Million Man March of 1995, where hundreds of thousands of black men gathered peacefully in Washington, D.C. to affirm their commitment to family and community. Resilience is also found in our everyday lives, in the stories of black elders who lived through segregation, injustice, and exclusion, yet still built communities, raised families, passed on wisdom and dignity. As Maya Angelou said, you may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. At BU, we honor this resilience of our colleagues, of our students, by creating spaces where people feel they belong, where they feel free to be themselves, and where their stories are heard and valued. Representation is about visibility. For me, it's about voice, it's about value. And at BU, we're committed to creating a vibrant and diverse community. And where the region holds around 10% diversity, this university, this community, has around and over 30% diversity. And we're so proud of that. And it makes us who we are. But we want that diverse community to be a place where every individual feels seen, heard, and empowered to thrive. Representation matters in leadership, in curriculum, in research, and everyday life. It's about who's teaching, how we're teaching, and what we're teaching. So it's about visibility, voice, and value. It's about who gets to be seen, heard, and celebrated. And throughout history, black individuals have fought to be represented in art, politics, science, education. From Edmonia Lewis, the first African-American and Native American sculptor of international renown. I studied sculpture. She was one of the first artists that I got to know. And Mae Jemison, the first black woman in space. Representation has broken barriers and expanded possibilities. And our students need to see that representation. They need to feel it, and they need to have those role models. James Baldwin once said, if you know whence you came, there is no real limit to where you can go. And this is the power of representation. It affirms identity and opens doors. And that community and connectivity is incredibly important. And hopefully we've been doing a little bit of that today. At BU, we're really proud to be a global university with students and staff from over 130 countries. This diversity enriches our learning, our research, and our community, and it strengthens it. But representation can't just be about numbers, although the numbers are important, and I'll come back to that. It's about ensuring that every person feels seen and valued. And I'm blessed to have that diversity in my own family, and I know what strength that brings us. In my own career, I've worked to ensure that representation is not symbolic but structural, because a leadership position is one of privilege, and it's one of responsibility. At Birmingham City University, previously in my career, I was proud to contribute to the Anti-Racist Commitment Plan, a project which focused on action, not just intention, and that was co-created and co-written and co-designed with students and staff from black communities. Representation matters in leadership, in curriculum, in research, and in everyday life, as I've said. It matters who we have to speak. It matters whose stories we tell, and I know that some of the workshops are focusing on that today. And whose voices we amplify, and we all have a responsibility to raise those voices. Reform, the third theme of this summit. This challenges us to go beyond words and take action. It asks us to look critically at our systems, our structures, our culture, and to be bold in making change. And I'm proud to say that BU are actively working to embed all aspects of equity and inclusivity into everything that we do, but most importantly, hanging on to that really important word, diversity. And many universities have reduced equality, diversity, and inclusion to just equity and inclusion, or equality and inclusion. But the diversity is so important to keep that at the forefront of our thinking and our celebrating. But we know there's a huge amount more to do, so we've got to do more. But reform is the call to action. It's the commitment to change systems, challenge injustice, and build better futures for everyone. Black history is filled with reformers, people who refuse to accept the status quo. Frederick Douglass said, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress." And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. reminded us, the time is always right to do what is right. From the abolitionist movement to the civil rights era, from the founding of the NAACP to the activism of Shirley Chisholm, the first black woman elected to Congress, reform has been driven by courage and conviction. And I brought up in a family where I had a great role model of my own father who fought for the equal pay for skilled women workers in some of the poorest factory jobs in the UK. And if you've seen the film Made in Dagenham, you'll understand the history of the movement that my father put forward and changed that law and those equal pay rights for women in the UK. So I've got good genes. Today, reform continues in movements for racial justice, educational equity, and inclusive leadership. It continues in the work of people like Stacey Abrams, who has redefined modernist activism through a fight for voting rights. At BU, reform means embedding equity and inclusivity in every area of our university life. It means listening, learning, and acting. It means asking ourselves, how can we do better? How can we be more inclusive, more just, more representative? And there is more work to be done. Currently in the UK, there are 250 black professors based on the most recent HASA data. So that's from 23-24, and I'm hoping to see that increase. Out of that 250 black professors in the UK, 70 are women, 180 are men. There are 23,000 professors in the UK that have and hold the professorship title. That means that it's only 0.3% of those professors that are black women professors. That needs to change. And we need to do the work here and across all of the universities in the higher education sector to address that huge gap. And yet, in terms of our black students, they have a higher progression to university in the UK than our white students. And that's why representation is important. So white students have only a 41.8% progression to university. For black students, it's 63.5%. That's incredible. That's fantastic. That's our pipeline of talent. That is our new academics. Those are our future professors, as well as our colleagues that we currently have now. So we have to nurture, support, understand where the leaking of the pipeline happens, and we need to address that with action. So I'm really proud already of the work that we're doing here at BU, but it's only the beginning, and we've got so much more to do. From our EDI charter to our international partnerships. I've just returned from China. I'll be in Vietnam next month. And that's about extending our learning community across the globe. It's about providing global experience and international experience for our students and having a more internationalized campus, and that's firmly in our sights. So my closing thoughts before I hand over to Professor Christos. Black History Month is not just for some of us, it's for all of us. It's a time to listen, to learn and grow. I always take those opportunities to try and be a learning leader. It's a chance to hear perspectives beyond our own and to understand the cultural context that shape our community here and beyond. And as Vice-Chancellor, I'm committed to leading BU in a way that ensures everyone feels welcome, safe and heard. And I want us to be a university where inclusivity and diversity and equity and equality are not just values, but they are lived, they are experienced and demonstrated. So thank you again for being here, for listening, for my learning that I will get for today. Thank you for your resilience, your representation, and your commitment to reform. And I look forward to the conversations throughout the day and continuing this journey with you together. Enjoy the rest of the summit, and I hope to see many of you again later this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alison. That is going to be very hard to top, but I will do my best to try and build on some of the themes that you've highlighted in your talk. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Many, many thanks to Emanuela, as well as Laura, and everybody else who has been involved in the organization of this. I've seen the full schedule. It's a very packed schedule. It's a fantastic event. I'm looking forward to also being around in the afternoon and talking to most, if not all of you. So for my presentation today, I'm actually going to go into a couple more operational things about how we do inclusivity here at Bournemouth University and some of the attempts that we're undertaking to build on the themes and the concepts that Alison has highlighted. So if we go to the next slide, please. So it's a brief intro. I will focus a little bit more on the faculty that I'm leading as the Pro-Vice Chancellor Dean. So that's the Faculty of Media Science and Technology. A lot of the efforts and a lot of the attempts to do more on inclusivity, on representation, are uniform for the other faculties as well, but I'm more familiar and I'm more embedded, obviously, in specific faculties, so I'll try and focus a little bit more on that. So the main focus of the presentation, other than our institutional setup, which I think you need to be familiar with, is ICE. So that's the Inclusive Curriculum Evaluation Project, which is currently in its third year. So I'll talk in a little bit more detail about that. There is the opportunity for you to get involved with this as well, and I would very much welcome you to do that. And hopefully this will serve as a brief introduction to subsequent discussions we can have in the afternoon about how we can do more at BU to build on all the themes that we've talked about so far on representation and inclusivity. Next slide, please. So just a brief reminder on the Bournemouth University setup. So we have three faculties, so the Faculty of Media Science and Technology, Health, Environment and Medical Sciences, and also Business and Law. This specific faculty that I'm the PVC Dean of and I'm fortunate to be part of is the result of the legacy, I guess, merger of two faculties, Media and Communications and Science and Technology. At the moment, this new faculty has approximately 5,700 students and 245 established members of staff, so a very sizable entity. And I think it's worth highlighting some of the achievements in terms of inclusion that we're very, very proud of. The one that comes to mind immediately for me is the fact that the previous entity that formed part of this merger, so the Faculty of Science and Technology, had 5 of its 6 departments, so faculties consist of either departments or schools, with the Athena Swan Award for bronze on all 5 of those occasions. So that is a specific award that advances higher education, awards based on efforts for gender equality, action plans, past achievements, and track record as well. So we're always trying to build on what we can do in these areas. We're very, very proud of our past successes, but there's a lot more that we can do. Very recently, we've actually submitted for an institutional award for Athena Swan. It was led by Dr. Callie Stewart, previously the Deputy Dean in the Faculty of Science and Technology, now the Associate Dean in the Health, Environment and Medical Sciences Faculty, and we're hoping to get some positive news on that very, very soon. Next slide, please. So there's a lot of exciting opportunities, some of which Alison has already alluded to, in terms of what we can do as Bournemouth University to be more globally visible, to both attract more international students here, but also do more transnational education projects and reach out and take the Bournemouth values as well as brand abroad. So BU 2035, a new strategic plan, has quite a lot of content towards our aspirations and ambitions in that area. We've already been undertaking, and again, Alison has talked about that previously, we've already been doing quite a lot of visits, but also receiving a lot of visitors as well. I've also been to China twice this summer. We've received visitors from countries such as Oman very recently, and many others, which I'm not going to list in this presentation and talk. So this is led by the Dean of Global Engagement and Strategic Partnerships, Mr. Aboubakr Fatala, and every faculty, including the faculty I'm embedded in, has an associate dean in the new structure. In our case, it's Dr. Mike Sunderland, which shows how seriously we're taking this footing towards more international engagement and towards reaching out, but also receiving students from different cultures as well as countries. So there's a lot of ambitious projects that we also have in terms of transnational education. I'm not going to take you through the full detail for that. I'm happy to talk about this perhaps in individual discussions, but we're very excited by what the future holds in this dimension. At the same time, however, everything we do for the values around the Black History Month needs to be represented in how we approach these partnerships and also how we approach these projects as well. So next slide, please. So, as I said previously, one of the projects that will support some of this work is the ICE project. I'm not going to use the full name because it's actually quite an elaborate name. I think I've already referred to it earlier. So this ICE project comes out of previous work that we've done in this area towards our inclusive curriculum. Previously, it was led by, again, somebody in my current faculty, Dr. Christa van Raalte, and at the moment, the ICE project is led by an academic in business and law, the Faculty of Business and Law, Dr. Keith Parry, very capably supported by Anne Barnes and also Rebecca Kerslake. So it's a project that we're very excited about again, and we are very much in support of. It's also a project that has been maturing over the last couple of years, and I'll give you some insights on that. So it's very much focused on the curriculum that we deliver to you, the students. So it is about how this curriculum is perceived from students and also staff, because we have a lot of members of staff. I'm one of them, in fact. I'm originally Greek, and I still recall the time when I was an international student in this country. But it is both about students and staff, international ones, and how they perceive this curriculum based on their backgrounds, based on a different culture, but also the origin country that they come from. So this project is intended to address the issues that the curriculum may pose in the way that it is currently set up for students of these backgrounds and ethnicities, such as, for example, and again, Alison has referred to this, attainment gaps, degree awarding gaps. Those two are very, very important metrics for us, and we need to deliver on those. But also the overall student experience that an international member of staff or student will have. Next slide, please. So this project effectively began for the academic year 23-24. So originally it was based on canvassing views from two different stakeholder groups, obviously students and also staff. So the feedback from students originally, which was mostly collected via focus groups, was on curriculum assessment, change, also structure, some of the approaches undertaken, details. There was quite a lot of feedback specifically on things such as reading lists, things such as some of the pictures or photographs or visual material that was actually used in lectures as well as lab notes, and generally having more visible and inspirational examples from different cultures embedded in the curriculum as opposed to what we had at the time. So feedback from staff, so program teams, involved how useful a student's cultural perspective can be in rethinking assessment in particular for a unit, but also content in general, and how useful, more broadly speaking, a synergistic approach could actually be in terms of canvassing student views, international students, as well as any other student, and shaping the curriculum according to issues identified by the students directly. So outcomes for that particular year for the ICE project, so 23-24, involved work on making more inclusive and participatory assessment, diversifying reading lists. We actually did quite a lot of work on that year. Reviewing assessment criteria, so things such as rubrics that come with assessment briefs. We also developed a code of conduct for respectful communication in the classroom, which was something else that we felt was actually lacking at the time and could be really conducive towards moving things forward, and focusing on inclusive projects, particularly for group work that students were undertaking. Next slide, please. So obviously we moved on to the previous academic year. Again, so the ICE project carried on, persisted. It is carrying on for this year as well, I should say. So for 24-25 and that academic year, we took a somewhat fresher approach. Obviously, we learned from how we carried out that project in that specific academic year. So this time we involved 17 student reviewers. They attended quite a lot of lectures, seminars, as well as reviewed quite a bit of the VLE content that we have, so the virtual learning environment content that we have here at Bournemouth University. We use a platform called Brightspace for that. There was very strong support in the second year of this project, because it was the second year, from program teams. It's a more established project, as I said earlier. Again, we used a focus group approach, but we also relied on drop-in sessions. We wanted to make sure that students could attend and pass on the reviews. So if they couldn't make the focus group, we did want to get their voice heard within the outcomes of the project. We also even used informal conversations for those reviewers, but also some additional students as well. So we revised a lot of the templates that we had for feedback from the previous year to more accurately capture feedback in specific areas, in fact. We did work on something that we call the IHC. That's the inclusivity health check that program leaders for our courses actually have to do. That's another established practice that we've pulled in this project and reshaped based on how the ICE project was going on and what students were telling us about things that perhaps we could be doing better. So for example, on the IHC, we actually changed the order of when that inclusivity health check template is filled in by program leaders. So we made sure that the feedback from the students was actually taken on board before that was produced for the academic year. So the sequencing, and it seems like a very obvious thing, I'm sure, but the sequencing is particularly important. So these subtle changes can actually have a major impact on how seriously and how well we can actually address inclusivity, representation, and many of the other values that we're pursuing within our curriculum. I'll stop there. I won't make this too technical, but as you can tell, there's a gradual process for refinement. Obviously, there's continuous progress on this project. We're carrying on this year as well. So academic year 25-26. I think it would be great to actually involve Dr. Keith Parry in subsequent events that Emanuela and also other colleagues organize. I think he'd be very, very keen to talk about this and also getting more of you involved. We're actually looking for more reviewers than just 17. I think it's important to say that. So hopefully there will be the opportunity to hear more details about this project in the near future. Next slide, please. So I think I'm going to draw a line under this. I've already repeated this several times. We do want your involvement, pushing forwards with some of these projects and making these changes and enhancing what we do here on campus for our courses and for your experience does require people to be both vocal but also active with some of these initiatives. So hopefully this is the firing pistol for that and we can actually build on this. I'm very, very open to additional suggestions on how we can reshape this project, how we can introduce other projects that can actually have the desired effect, the same effect that ICE is pursuing. And I think on this note, I will thank you for your attention, also perhaps being a little bit too technical operationally for you as well, and I will stop there. Thanks very much.
Yeah, about the come here.
Thank you very much to our keynote speaker, Professor Allison and Professor Kirstos. Again, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant as always. Also, I also want to thank you personally because when we did email you out, like they were already like, yes, 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 they're going to come in. And again, you can see how brilliant they've been as well. I also want to try to open the floor to some networking. Again, we have the next stage, which is workshop. I think Laura wanted to talk about the ICE project because she's also,
just to welcome you to the next appointment, the workshop after a quick comfort break, but also taking the opportunity to say that indeed it's so important to see how we live and embody values in our university. And an example is just to offer an example there about the work that has been done in BU is also represented in our exhibition area, so you haven't had that opportunity to just go. Just an example was how all the actions that we have been doing within the midwifery program to decolonize the curriculum, and we have received already feedback also from partners in the NHS of how much that has impacted in the new generation of midwives. So this is just an example, but we have many other examples, and thank you, because again, we want really to celebrate and to recognize the work done, the work that we still have to do
in the future.
and and connect.
Before we open the floor to the questions, I think Professor Alison wanted to touch on one thing again.
Yeah, just one initiative that I'm looking to, that I've practiced in my previous roles in other institutions, but I'm looking for students that I can do flipped mentoring with. So in other words, I shadow them to understand their experience of when they are at our university. So if you are a student in the audience, or if you have some student reps that you work with, or anybody that would like to have me follow you for a whole day, okay? And you can also follow me and understand what it means to be a Vice Chancellor and CEO. Ooh. Bring your trainers and bring your lunch, because otherwise you won't eat and you need to move fast. We run around fast a lot. But I've done this before, and I have experienced such amazing things by seeing things through the lens of a student. So if you can put up with me for a day, I'll bring snacks and I'll buy you lunch and coffee. So, you know, if there are any students out there that would like to do some flip mentoring, to give us some learning in our university executive team, but also for myself as Vice Chancellor, please do let me know. Emmanuel's got all my contact details, but you can find me on LinkedIn, you can find me on the website.
I'm going to take on the project because I love this kind of challenge. Again, my students are here, branding is exactly what we're doing, and this is brilliant as well for them to brand themselves and see how it is for the flip learning. Brilliant work. I think I already have some volunteers already that are going to be interested. But yes, now we're going to move on to the workshops. We have brilliant workshop facilitators as well as chairs. The workshop room is just down on the left here, and it'll be good for us to just take part of it and see what they want to show to us. And again, just engage. Yep, thank you so much again to our keynote speakers.